Another bright sunny day out here in the garden, which is quite good because it's my day off, and we're now really getting to grips with the track laying. In fact, actually it's progressing really quite fast, and a lot of this is because we're not really cutting much in the way of the track. It's just really where it goes around the curves that we've got to shorten the inside rail. So we've got some here, and I'm just going to quickly go through. As you can see, as we curve it round, we end up with the inner rail slightly longer than the outer rail. So because we don't want to damage the roofing felt, I've got a little piece of timber, place that underneath, and we've got our hacksaw, the nice sharp blade, and this is actually easier than you might think. Line the blade up with the length of rail that we're not going to cut, and then just put a notch in there. Cut a little bit. You don't need to actually go all the way through, because here's a little tip if you don't already know about this. Pair of pliers, thumb on the bit of rail that you're keeping, press down hard. You don't want it to flex and pull out from the sleepers. And what we're doing is, there, top of the web's broken and metal fatigue is now our friend. Little piece of rail is removed, and that gives us a nice clean end which the fish plates will go onto. If you use something like wire cutters, they tend to squash the track and deform the end, and that makes it a lot harder to get the fish plates on. So now there we are, we've got our end with the ends lined up, and what we need to do now is the very final sleeper, the moulded on track chairs. We need to remove those so that the fish plate can slide underneath. So we've got our sharp craft knife, very carefully so you don't stab your finger. We're going to remove those sides first, and then the other side. The blood you can see is because I didn't heed my own advice earlier on, and I did stab my finger. Right, now this is, given the amount of track that we're laying, what I'm actually using here are a couple of wagons to hold my supplies, because they'll quite literally roll with you. So I've got my fish plates in one, and I've got my track pins in the other. Now there's two types of track pins I bought. These are the Pico ones, very very thin, and they bend ever so easily. My advice is, these are a waste of time. You want these. A lot thicker, a bit shorter, but so much easier to put in. When it comes to putting the track pins in, what you want, a very very fine drill bit like that. And that corresponds with the thickness of the shaft of the track pins. You don't want it fatter than the head, otherwise you'll make a hole that the pin will just disappear down and it won't actually fasten your track down at all. And what we're going to do is we're going to line it up, and if you're worried about going through and damaging the roofing felt, you can always slide yourself a piece of wood underneath, but I'm being really careful here. So we put ourselves a little hole just through the plastic webbing of the sleeper. You don't want it to go into the wood, otherwise the track pin's not going to grip properly. And that's it. Dead simple way of laying your track. Get that in the right position. Now we don't want any kinks, so we've got a nice transition curve there, and we've got so much space out here that the curves really are quite gentle. So let's put a pin in there. Line it up with the hole by hand, give it a push. That's now held by the plastic webbing. Then with a little tack hammer, 1, 2. Now you don't want to go all the way in with a big fat round bit because you risk damaging the actual track. So we turn it over to the flat side. What we've got here is the girder bridge, you remember that from a previous video. And we've got the track running across, and we've fastened, as I've already shown you, at either end using the track pins. So this track is good and firm. The track on the bridge though isn't, because you can't nail it to metal. But what we're going to do is later on, when we put the waterproofing coating on, which will be watered down bitumen paint, this will actually effectively get stuck to the deck. And then later still, we're going to be ballasting this track, and the ballast will be done with cement in it. And that means that that too is going to hold everything really nice and tight. There you have it, a few tips on track laying. And it's really quick and easy going around here. And what I've found is I've completely overestimated the amount of track I need. So I haven't even broken into the second box of the SL100 Pico Flexi track. I will need a few lengths out of it, but nowhere near the 25 that I bought. But it's probably better to have slightly too much than slightly too few lengths of track, because there's nothing worse than getting very close to the end and finding you're going to have to go out and find yourself some supplies from somewhere. Anyway, till next time, you take very good care of yourself, and bye for now.